a good streak of not being canceled, chat.
Nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
To be xenophobic,
yes.
Nationalism is better.
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should be a part of the same culture.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
I mean, look, I gotta be honest with you, like...
Chat, I'll do what I do normally, chat. Guys. I'll do best of both worlds, chat. People want me to skip, all good. I'll stick to most of it, chat. I'll just try to get some of the funny answers, some of the questions that I think are fun.
You and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this. Conservatives. My first claim is...
What is it called? Sam Seder. 20 is interesting here.
My first claim is Trump's attack on DEI hides his real goal, which is to give corporations more power.
Interesting. I don't really see the correlation between these two endeavors, but
Oops, sorry, Sam.
No worries.
I don't see how these play together.
I think I have a slight issue with the back end of the premise. I guess Trump's attacks on DEI being a real goal to, give corporations more power. I'd rather center the conversation around the democratic, especially as conservatives, the issues that people have with DEI and why I believe Trump would, want to support the issues that,
Is this guy stupid?
people are voting for him for.
I mean, I'm talking about his whole attack on DEI. It's actually DEIA, right? You know that.
Right.
In government agencies. The A being for accessibility.
Right. Yeah, and
This is Brandon. The question just sucks.
Issue with DEI isn't what the previous gentleman was trying to point. Conservatives aren't necessarily have issues with those things like accessibility to people who might need help. The issue is, and I kind of
hold on.
Referred to this before, when you have
next question
is not
so
RIFRA, which is going to be fundamentalist. Or my next claim is, unless you're a billionaire, a religious fundamentalist, or a xenophobic nationalist, voting for Trump was a mistake.
Okay, so let's tackle one aspect, religious fundamentalists. What benefit would religious fundamentalists get? And also, can you define what is a religious fundamentalist?
And maybe you could say more of like a Christian nationalist.
Okay.
In this instance. But things like, the attacks on trans folks, the attacks on a woman's right to choose, the idea that we're going to get stuff like an enhanced RIFRA, which is...
What is a xenophobic nationalists?
Going to mean that if you're a pharmacist and you don't want to provide
we don't like anybody else but Americans,
you may not have to.
Don't you think you're assuming that?
If you believe that public education, we should take that money and pour it into religious schools, you're gonna get a benefit out of a Trump administration.
Yeah, but don't you think you're assuming that the vast majority of Americans who are moderate?
Okay, you know what? This guy has some good answers. I think the premise also kind of sucks. I think it's like, if you're against, let's say, illegal immigration, then you're xenophobic. I think it's kind of a lame way to put it. I don't really like it.
What do you think you're going to get out of the Trump administration?
Economic relief. That was
what kind of economic relief? They're going to cut Social Security. You're going to have to pay for your parents. They're going to cut when they go after the agencies like they're going after, right? This is outlined in Project 2025. Russ Vought, who's going to be the OMB head, he was the OMB head the first time around. He wrote
about Christian values.
If European 1970, it was at 3.
This premise also sucks.
Social Security and health care.
Chat. What is the GOP?
Claim is the GOP will destroy Social Security and health care.
The Republicans.
Nice to see you.
So what if Social Security should go away? That's my question to you.
Because Social Security keeps 2/3 of our elderly out of poverty. And not only does it keep our elderly out of poverty, it's essentially a social insurance program that protects you if at the end of your life you don't have enough money to survive.
For right now, do you know that it's also the albatross around our generation's neck?
No, it isn't.
Okay, so
let me just explain this.
Well, you're
going
to go back to lecturing me about Social Security.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security is one of the top 3 funded.
Social Security is almost the biggest thing that our government does.
Exactly, and we are more than $30 trillion in debt.
Well, first of all, Social Security cannot.
So when in debt, when things go wrong, send the old to the grinder. Then what kind of premise is that? What kind of dumbass stick is that?
Contribute legally to the deficit.
Because they don't even account it in the federal deficit
That's
every year.
Correct.
We have
because
30
it's
years.
Self-funding. When Social Security started in 1936. You have more workers than retirees because people haven't entered into retirement. By 1970, it was at 3.5 to 1.
Oh, it's because there's people that are abusing it. Because okay, yeah, I mean, all systems can be better, right?
Now it's at 2.5 to 1. But productivity has increased during that time, so the amount of money paid into Social Security has been up there. The reason why we are running out of money just for the trust funds, not for Social Security. Like I say, if we do nothing with Social Security now, it is statutorily unable to contribute to the debt. The math is right there.
I'm saying is that social programs are always some people are going to abuse it, but it doesn't mean that you break it down, whatever. You can always just make it better and make it less likely that it's going to be abused, whatever. Well, what do you mean how? It's like unemployment can be abused in some form with some tactic. Like these systems are never perfect. There are some metas and shit. It is what it is. Like
the reason why the trust fund is running out is because wealth inequality has hoarded so much money above the cap.
You don't think it's because the government does a terrible job managing their money? They have a huge spending problem, and they go, look at all this money we have for Social Security that's earmarked for 60 years from now that we're just going to spend on something right now.
40 years ago, they predicted this. This is an actuarial table. Accountants sit there and look at it. This is a very easy math problem.
Accountants in the government are always right? That's totally the thing that you're saying? That they're always correct about money, right? That's why we have a $40 trillion debt problem.
The problem isn't the math with the $40 trillion debt problem. It's you have tax
It's
cuts.
the spending problem. I totally agree with you, which I would argue is part of why Social Security's gone in the hole already.
That's simply not true.
Oh, okay. So we're out of money from the Social Security bucket.
No. Statute.
People are retarded.
One premise though. One comment, chat. Guys. I don't think a caught emoji, yellow guy emoji. Okay. I don't think it's a problem to kind of redo like the fundamentals from scratch, right? And be like, is this functioning properly or whatever, right? And to give it a refresh. How is that a problem?
Statutorily, by that I mean by law, Social Security pays for itself. If we do nothing, the 6.2% that your employer and your employee pays into it will pay out 78% of benefits starting in 2033.
And why is it going down? If everything's so much better, why is it only 78%?
If we raise the cap, there's a cap right now at $176,000. So
employers and employees each pay 6.2% a year on up to $176,000 income. On self-employed workers pay 12.5%.
For instance, if you make $100,000, you pay $6,200 into that.
A year,
A year. But if you make $4 million, do you know how much money you pay into Social Security?
You are truly the
$6,200.
And so why should wealthy people hang on? Why should wealthy people pay a higher percentage?
No, they should pay the same percentage. 6.2 on $400,000, 6.2 on $1 million.
And why should they pay even more money at all? Because they make more money? Again, you fundamentally have.
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, yes, yeah, I do agree with that. If you pay more on taxes, it should be probably 0% when you make no money at all, and then start just the way the taxes work, and then it goes up. If you make more money, you get taxed more money. Wow, that's crazy.
Have this idea that because you have an idea that because somebody makes more money, that's fundamentally wrong, right?
No, I don't think it's fundamentally wrong. I think that they should pay more taxes into it. Now, I do think as a society, we should not allow billionaires. So, for instance,
they can pay more taxes generally, but why?
Oh, so okay, this guy's Brendan.
The highest tax rate and the greatest expansion of our economy.
Hang on,
in this
does a
country?
billionaire get more money from Social Security if they went to go take it than I would?
No,
of course not.
Insurance.
So why should they pay more?
I'll tell you what. Because
if you can't become a billionaire, then what incentive do you have to innovate and do better when you get to like the hundreds of millions of dollars? The only incentive you would have is to get the fuck out of the country and go somewhere else where you can become a billionaire and then perform over there. Then.
Because it is a social insurance program that keeps you from.
If I tell you that there's a ceiling on performance, right? Then when I get to the point where then I'm done and I don't give a shit anymore. Then I don't innovate. I don't do better. It's a system because why is it an endless chase, guys? Guys, the dream to make it, the dream. If you go hard, you get the reward, right? Unless you do way too good, then we cut you off. You are not allowed to do better anymore. You're not allowed to get more and more. Fuck you. What a brain. This is like legitimate utopian stupid libtard brain.
Being in poverty.
It's libtardism, man. I don't have to tell you. It's
and
rot.
the reason why I think
if you believe it, human nature cuts right through that. Or like that doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make it to be performed. Like nobody likes that.
Should pay more taxes than other people. Even
the people that agree with that are people that have no aspirations to go to any lengths and to break any barriers and to go any people that have the mentality go fucking nowhere. Defeatists.
Higher percentage is because it works better for society. The greatest expansion we've had in this country in terms of economics and the least amount of wealth disparity was in the 40s and 50s and 60s in this country. Do you know what the top marginal rate was?
It was high.
Ask anybody in chat if they would like to be a billionaire. Everybody wants to be a billionaire. It's not a bad thing. It means that everybody is gonna go out there and do the best they can. Everybody wants to fucking go and go massive. Not a lot of people make it, but it's that mentality that makes you get there. What if I told you, oh yeah, you've been going crazy, chat. Actually, chat, hold on. Actually, chat, good job, chat. You made 50 mil with your quest to go to be a billionaire. Now, the people, the leftists, the liberals, they say, guys, you know what we said about billionaires? We're doing that for millionaires now. Hold on a minute. Wait, you have made 50 mil? We're taking 14 away, and you cannot make anything more than a mil. A mil is the cap now. How do you feel now?
Do you know
I don't know the exact number, but
if you made over 407.
See, crazy that you guess a question mark, but that's exactly what it would be like for billionaires. So, how is it crazy for a million, not crazy for a billion?
$70,000 in 1955.
The
every
idea
dollar
is the
you would
same.
make above that was taxed at 90%.
So I have a question.
90 cents on every dollar was taxed above 470. So if we had in today's dollars,
which is wild, by the way. But
and it's also the greatest expansion we had of the economy.
Yeah, you can expand for a time, and then you see places. You see like Nordic countries that were like, oh, let's tax the hell out of our rich people, right? And then they go, whoops, we messed up. We can't actually live off of our terrible. We basically are able to live off our economic boom that they had between like the 40s and the 90s, and then we have to revert all of that because we made a terrible choice and we were able to have a party for 50 years until we realized we ran through all the money that capitalism got us.
Who did that?
So let me ask you real quick. So the average person.
I'm not defending billionaires. I'm defending the idea to become a billionaire. Like the idea is perfectly fine. A lot of people have that idea and never make it there. Like that's what makes people compete. So many people go out there and do shit. Like that's the dream that they've sold you on for fucking decades. Like, is that the dream? You go hard, you get what you work for. Is that the whole point?
Right.
But don't work too hard, but don't do too good though, because otherwise we cut you off then. Hold on. Go hard, chat, but not too hard.
Right now, they fundamentally look at Social Security, young people like me, and they go, I'm going to have that money sitting, waiting for me when I retire. Since your opinion is whatever works best for the average person is better, wouldn't you rather shift towards something that I would agree with, which is getting people that are 19, 20 years old into funding their own retirement rather than relying on other people to fund it for them?
You're talking like the 401k.
Sure. Well, not just the 401k, but IRAs, any other type of retirement. Would you agree? Would we agree with that?
Social Security was set up as part of a three-legged stool where back in the day when I was a kid, we had defined benefit pensions, where you'd know how much money you would get out.
Yeah.
That all shifted in the 80s to defined contribution, where you know how much you put in. The 401k started during that Reagan era. It has been a disaster because the fact of the matter, for better or for worse, people just don't save in the way that you're talking about.
Why?
It would be nice if they could.
If the government were changing the mindset and actually pushing that cultural shift towards, we're not just going to hand you money when you're 65. You have to plan for it right now.
We've had a 40-year experiment with that, the government affecting the cultural mindset, and it failed.
We've had a 40-year experiment of everybody. You know what my parents say? Do you know what grandparents say? They go, "Well, I'm just waiting for my
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Social Security check to come in," rather than,
oh, should have saved, should have done better, should have predicted the economy, should have did better with your 401k, should have did better overall with your savings, whatever. Now you're dead. Oh, you're old, you can't work? Ha, you're going to the grinder. Enjoy dying. Nah, dude. Come on, bro.
I have $800,000 waiting for me because I thought about it when I was 19 and 20 because I didn't have this grab bag of money waiting for me. You're assuming that young people can't.
I try and tell my kids.
So we agree. We should get rid of Social Security and phase it out. Well, no. So we should phase out. How would you listen to this idea? You phase out Social Security to where people who have 5 years left before they retire get 100% of the benefits, and then people like me who have 40 years until we retire, I'm not going to get it. I'm going to get screwed either way.
No,
you
you're
really
not.
think I'm going to get Social Security someday?
I guarantee you, at the very least, you're going to get 78% of your benefits.
That's awesome. I'll get $9,000 a year. That's great.
In calling for our government to increase the cap, in fact, get rid of the cap, then your grandkids will get Social Security.
I would much rather, and again, maybe we'll just disagree, but I would much rather result to, hey, 20-year-olds, please save for your own retirement, invest for your own retirement, because the government is bad at dealing with money.
And what happens
Don't rely
if they
on them. What happens if what?
What happens if those 20-year-olds don't listen to you?
The same thing that happens if a 20-year-old just doesn't go and get a job because I tell them to.
No.
They're going to have a problem.
Chat. You guys say he's right, but you apply that, and you just use human nature, what people do with money, and this fails for most people. Like, that's crazy. You guys don't believe that. It's crazy that you sit there. That would never happen to me. More than half you guys, this would happen to you. Like, that's just crazy.
Problem, but that's not my fault.
No, I got news for you. It's not your fault, but there used to be in New York City 30,000 people sleeping on.
Oh wait. An injury? You injured your back during biking? Huh. Should have invested better. Huh. Should have taken that jump. Should have went into that trail, you fucking dumbass. Now you're dead. Ah! Dude, wait. You hurt your leg while biking? Now you're dead, you fucking loser! Dude, it's not what you want to put your people in. Like, come on.
No one in this room was alive before Social Security. We've all lived under this, just like the
and
income tax.
And it has been the most successful government program in the history of our government.
Things that are successful don't just start to die out and end up in the.
It's not dying out.
It's the grab bag of money, the massive excess that was there in the early years because of the 42-to-1 beneficiary.
There wasn't a massive excess in 1936.
42-to-1 is a massive excess.
There weren't that many people who had entered into the Social Security program.
And your focus.
Too slow, and I agree. Plutocracy and agencies.
Okay, and now look into your claim.
All right, guys.
All right. We'll talk after.
Right there, a girl, she's crazy. Which one? Which girl? Her?
What we're seeing right now is
And
just a Christian. Hi.
Sam.
So I actually think that this liberal world order needs to be thrown away completely, and I think Christian nationalism would be a good alternative. What we're seeing right now is just
congratulations.
And thank you. And yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is a culture of death. This is the most suicidal generation ever. We have millions of children dying by abortion. People aren't even reproducing. We don't even have like a.
Should we mandate people reproduce?
No, I don't think we need to mandate. We can just stop them from killing their kids.
You want to outlaw abortion?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, we have a fundamental disagreement on this, and my claim was that if you voted for Trump, it would be to your benefit if you want to outlaw abortion.
I think it would benefit everyone.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that that women should have the right to choose.
I think that it would benefit everyone to bring back the family unit. to stop having women just thrown into the workforce.
Maybe we shouldn't allow women to choose to divorce unless their husbands say it's okay.
I mean, I don't really believe in divorce in general, so, like, sure.
All right.
Wait, what?
Family unit.
Women should have the right to choose.
I think that it would benefit everyone to bring back the family unit, to stop having women just thrown into the workforce.
Maybe we shouldn't allow women to choose to divorce unless their
The cost of life is just too high now for one income for an entire family. Unfortunately, that forces the woman to go to work. It is what it is, okay? If the guy can carry, that applies for your lifestyle, for your family, cool, man. Most Americans, they can't live off of one guy carrying the whole squad. Not like that. Now the person, now the cost of life these days, and again, all that shit, it's what it is. If you want to say, well, I ain't disagreeing. Okay, well, you're fucking branded, so that's all good.
husbands say it's okay.
I mean, I don't really believe in divorce in general.
People disagree, aren't even in the workforce, aren't even in the workplace right now, don't even make money. And if let's be honest, most people that are for that, if let's say they were right now to be in a situation where they had to care for their family, the whole squad fucking dies of the cold. Okay, it is what it is.
Also, like, sure.
All right. I mean, this I think though reinforces my point that if you are,
but it would be better for society. It would be better for everybody in society. And same with xenophobic what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
To be xenophobic nationalism is better.
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should be a part of the same culture. We should have assimilation.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
What is
based
the dominant
on
culture?
European and Christian values and identity.
Okay, well, let's do that then. Okay, you're out. Okay, lady, you're out. GG.
That is the dominant culture.
White Christian,
it's rooted in European identity.
White. So your argument is that
has been the dominant culture.
Just to be clear,
and we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying you should keep your culture, and this is why our culture is so divided.
Your argument is that Trump is good for those who want a dominant white European culture.
I mean, that is what America is. It's rooted in European identity and Christian values. That's what it has been. Would you really disagree with that?
How does that make any sense? You want people to be American, but the foundation of that is European. So
what is it then, if that's not the identity of America?
Well, I think the identity of America...
For the majority of time,
So
America's been a country. You don't think that's been the identity?
Well, actually, no. I think actually the identity of America has been...
yeah, classic. So she means white, but she doesn't want to say white, basically. A classic person. So it's a classic racist who doesn't want to stand on business. Stand on business. If you want to say that, say it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
For better or for worse, a melting pot in that regard.
Yeah, maybe since like the 1960s. Even then, even we had this idea of a melting pot literally means assimilation too. It means melting. It means you're assimilating to the dominant culture. Is that not what melting means?
No,
and now instead we're saying there's something wrong with xenophobia.
Culture. No. I mean, look, I got to be honest with you. You and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this. It's a choice. And I think what you're expressing, though, is really what the Trump movement at its heart is about. And I think that's problematic.
I disagree. I don't think Trump's anywhere close to being a Christian nationalist. That's ridiculous. Trump's basically a Democrat from 15 years ago when it comes to social issues.
So you don't think that he's conservative enough for you?
Oh, definitely. Nowhere close. No.
He's not xenophobic enough for you?
No, he's trying to import a bunch of H-1Bs. Are you kidding?
Right. Oh, so you want to get them out too? Yeah. No, I think you're making my argument for me.
All right.
Well,
okay.
I'm just saying he's not even in this. Okay.
Yeah, this business just sounds like a Twitter thread, pretty much. She hears a new buzzword with a bunch of letters. This is DEIA, brain rot, or this is LGBT. This is H1Z1 or whatever the fuck. I don't know what the fuck they're saying. I don't know.
Okay, and now look into your claim. To a common ground was down 4 billion, saving 3 to 4.
Hey. Social welfare.
Yes.
We cut child poverty because no mention.
What did I say? Oh my fucking god! I was just saying letters, man.
22. Working class. My next claim is Trump's policies make the rich richer and the working class poorer.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Hello, sir.
Hey.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so do you mind if I ask what
Bro, I think that's an obvious.
policies in specific are you referencing to?
Tax cuts for the rich. I think his idea of tariffs on countries in the way that he's talking about will make people poorer. I think all of the work that they're doing in terms of attacking the government agencies will make people poorer. Because, when you get agencies that are supposed to protect us from corporate interests, they will externalize their costs, those corporations, instead of actually assuming themselves. So their profits are made on the backs of all of us, whether it's our health, our protection from consumer rights, worker rights.
I'm not happy about it. It's just funny that people are, oh my God, people are gonna go, no, really? Is this what they meant during the whole campaign thing? No way, dude. I thought this was gonna help me or whatever. I voted for this, and then they'll act surprised, and then they'll say I'm the victim now, whatever, and it's gonna be the whole cycle.
Anti-union policies will make us poorer.
So real quick, I'm going to touch on one of the things that you said. Now there was a lot to unpack there, but
there's a lot of policies.
We'll start at the very beginning. You talked about taxes. Let's talk about in his first term, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. There are a couple things in that specific policy that actually do benefit the middle class and the lower class more than the top 1%. So you mentioned taxes, right? But in that, from the IRS data that came out, the middle class and lower class got affected. I think they ended up saving 3 to 4% on their taxes, on their tax cuts, whereas the billionaires only saved 2%. So if we're talking an actual dollar amount, sure, the billionaires save more, but they also make a lot more, right? Also, the billionaires don't really care about an extra grand or two. In that specific policy, the child tax credit doubled.
Well, that's incorrect. That's actually that's incredibly incorrect.
From $1,000 per household to $2,000. No billionaire.
Oh, trust me, they do. Bro, this guy
cares about an extra grand in their pocket, but I can guarantee you the working class does. So how would you rebuttal that?
I would say, in terms of the taxes themselves, well, the policies that Trump wants to pursue this time are to expand those taxes for wealthy folks, and over time, what starts to happen is you have this wealth disparity, and as the wealth disparity increases, it becomes harder for working people essentially to keep up. Things become more expensive. You get inflationary pressures when you have people with more money. We have more and more billionaires than we did 4 years ago. And a large part of that was obviously COVID, but a large part of it is also money starts to accelerate. Once you, like you say, when a millionaire gets a tax cut.
Why don't they do, bro, it would happen a lot if they were just to spend money. I think that a small problem in that problem is that people they just accumulate, they don't spend money. Why don't you just guys ball out? Just buy some shit. It's fun, because you're gonna fucking die. Hey, yo, billionaires that are watching, let's be honest, no billionaires watching. You're dying. You're gonna die. That's what's gonna happen. And the reality is that you don't know what's happening afterwards, right? Everything turns to dust. And why don't you spend some money and ball out a little bit? Buy some cars, buy some whatever, right? And then do some shit. Be part of the economy instead of just fucking hoarding it. Fucking Life 2.0. Life 2.0. Hey, there's no guarantee of Life 2.0. I'm just saying.
Cut for a couple grand, or 60 grand, or $500,000 at the end of the day. Sure. They end up investing that and ends up growing because they're not out there working for their money. Their money is just is doing all the work.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think we can agree with you on that when it comes to, billionaires and millionaires and there being a wealth gap in our country, right? I don't think Republicans or liberals would disagree on that, but I think where we will fundamentally disagree is under Trump, right, the stats show that take-home pay was higher for the middle class and the lower class. Inflation was down. They weren't paying as much on taxes.
Inflation was down, but wage growth was actually greater during the Biden administration.
Well, that's because due to COVID, when a lot of people lost jobs.
No. I mean,
you're saying your children's children, bro. Here's the reality. Here's the reality. You get children, you give them everything. They have less motivation. They have less to go out there and do some shit. Okay. I'm sure you're trying to relate to, oh, dude, maybe, I would have wanted to be rich when I was good, whatever. Well, let's be honest. How is that bad? Explain how this is a bad take-in. This is a bad take-in. You're given everything. You're given everything. You have a massive cushion. You can attempt to do something 60 times. Some people succeed with only one time. People that are broke, they can do a business they only probably have 1 shot or 2 shot, maybe somehow, with the business when they're going into early adulthood. Some of the guys that are born to wealth, they probably had 20, 25, 30 tries. Oh, I'm a self-made billionaire, guys. Okay, well, congrats, that's really cool. I will celebrate that. But you had 30 tries. This guy got 1 shot and he clapped your cheeks raw. So I mean, what's your argument? Is what do you want to foster as a behavior? What do you want to how do you want? In my opinion, it's kind of important to have people that do that.
I'm talking in percentage comparison between those 4 years and these past 4 years. Wage growth grew not from as a baseline on 2020, but I'm talking as a baseline from 2016.
Interesting. Okay, well then another point that I want to talk on with you real quick is you talked about slashing government agencies, for instance, the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm sure you've heard about that a lot in the news.
That's not a government agency. That's just some committee.
It actually an executive order was signed to make DOGE an official government agency as of less than a week ago. So yeah, It is an official government agency. So obviously we're talking about money. We want people to be able to afford a house. We want them to be able to afford to raise a family, right? As a young man myself, I want to be able to grow up in America and be able to afford food one day, right? I mean, I can now, but continue that. And at the way things are going, it's unsustainable for people on the left, people on the right, people in the middle. So we have to come to a common ground on how to fix that. What's unsustainable? The fact that cost of living is increasing year after year.
What does DOGE do to inhibit cost of living?
Yeah, absolutely. So what DOGE is going to do, the Department of Government Efficiency, is slash a lot of the federal spending, right? So what happens when the feds...
What spending is going to get cut?
So I'm getting there. 1 second, sir. So what's going to happen is the Department of Government Efficiency is going to slash a lot of federal spending. What happens is the government, Republicans, Democrats alike, spend a bunch of money that, excuse my language, but it's nonsense, right? They spend it out here, they spend it out there.
Be more specific. Here or there? Are you talking about cutting?
Here come. Let me guess. DEIAUSAID LGBTQ Fun Plus. Here it comes.
Defense, because they're not going to cut defense.
Well, for example,
wait a second.
Well, no. Let me finish. Okay. $175 billion to Ukraine. First and foremost, that was a bunch of nonsense. So we're going to talk about that, but we also have a bunch of other things in the Defense Department, as well as a bunch of DEI departments.
Well, they're not touching. First of all, there are no DEI departments.
That's completely false.
Listen. Defense spending is not going to be touched by DOGE.
Ron.
And when you talk about the government, what's the biggest expenditure government has?
Our military and Social Security are our top two.
And Medicare and Medicaid, right? Now they're not.
Fact check. The Pentagon is looking for $50 billion budget cuts for next year. About 8% of the budget. The Defense Department is also cutting 8% of its workforce.
Not going to touch the military. Are they going to cut Social Security?
You're asking me like I'm part of DOGE.
No. Well, you're telling me that DOGE is going to help everybody here, and I'm telling you, if they cut Social Security, everybody in here is going to get hit. Because these folks are going to have to pay for their parents, because Social Security keeps 2/3 of our elderly out of poverty. So tell me what they're going to cut that's going to make it easier for Americans.
I already did.
What?
I told you the $175 billion that we've sent to Ukraine. We're no longer going to
So he's going to...
So Donald Trump has signed an executive order.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you, sir.
Interesting. Well, I think this topic is interesting. I actually wonder what makes these guys think that it's not true that the richer get richer and the working class gets poorer. I don't get it.
Okay, so why did we see a higher increase in the top 1% paying as part of federal income revenue under TCJA?
Why did we see a higher increase in the...
So under TCJA, it was passed 2017, It was effective 2018. 2018 and onward, we actually saw the top 1% pay more. They had more of the federal income tax burden. They paid 45% as opposed to Obama. During Obama's tax plan, they only paid about 40 to 42% of the federal income tax.
Because they got more money.
Right, okay, so they got more money.
They got richer.
But why are they paying, and why did...
Guys, this is like some guy who's like raid ready in like level 60 in gear, right? And he goes to like the level 1 zone. He's spawning against some people that are like with like gray swords, and these are like missing on boars and deers. Like, come on, bro.
Did they get richer?
What
so
even
this
is
goes
this
on
shit?
inflation.
Like, what are they debating?
I mean, that's my point. Is the rich are getting richer?
Right, but you mentioned, why would you say that they're getting richer? But you mentioned inflation? Or?
No, they're not. Well, I mean, I think that the inflation, to the extent that there was money that wasn't a function of like logistics and other problems that we had during COVID, yeah, the rich got richer. Not all inflation is a function of monetary inflation.
That's true, but when we look at COVID and we can see that they increased the money supply by 40%, they added $6 trillion, and you have a Federal Reserve System that's doing quantitative easing and pumping stimulus into the economy, you can attribute that to left-wing policy. The entire Federal Reserve System is Keynesian economics. Those are very left-wing.
Well, I can tell you this: inflation went up in Western European countries at the same rate.
Hold on, what did it say? Fact check of what?
Went up in Western.
Monetarists believe in controlling the supply of money that flows into the economy while allowing the rest of the market to fix itself. Keynesian economists believe that a troubled economy continues in a downward spiral unless an intervention drives consumers to buy more goods and services.
In Western European countries, the same rates that it did. No, they didn't have the same level of stimulus that we did. No, they did.
They absolutely did.
They did.
You can look at Japan. Yeah, I hear this topic all the time from the Democrats. They say, "Oh, inflation was global." Not true. China never went above 3% inflation during all of COVID, and they were actually they were under deflationary pressures. Japan, which is part of the G7, was also never had deflationary pressures. They never had inflation increase. The only countries that had inflation increase.
I'm talking in Western Europe. You could see inflation. Well, you could England, Germany, Italy, France. They didn't stimulate as much as we did. It wasn't monetary inflation. If you
in a study advanced economy, the inflation rate at least doubled from early to in 37 of 44 countries. In 60 countries, the inflation rate quadrupled. So what does that mean? Does that mean he's wrong or right? I'm not.
Look at the cost of goods and logistics that screwed up because of COVID.
So let's look at the reason. All international trade, because we're the world reserve currency, is done in U.S. dollars. Because we experience it, domestic inflation was high.
So you're saying our inflation caused higher inflation in Europe?
Absolutely, because
that's not what economists say.
Well, you can look at the facts. International trade is we have dollar-denominated international trade. All international trade is that's why we're the world reserve currency.
So if printing money doesn't cause inflation, we should print a college degrees. Okay, bro, then just keep printing. Then I get it. Cool, man. I guess you figured out how a macro works or whatever the fuck economy works. Then just keep printing. Then keep printing and smuggle the bills to other countries and fucking fuck them over. I guess.
You guys claim that the U.S. recovered faster than anybody else. It's like, well,
it did.
It's because we have a privilege of being the world reserve currency and we export our inflation. Like the strength.
We export our inflation.
Yeah, and let me explain that. Let me explain that the U.S. dollar is the most safe asset in the world. In times of great crisis and great volatility, like COVID crisis, everybody turns to the dollar. Sure. Many currencies are tied to the dollar. So it's like when the
euro is not tied to the dollar.
The euro is not, but international trade. So if the euro actually crashed against the dollar during COVID. The euro used to be above the dollar.
I'm unclear what your point is.
My point is that the inflation is caused by left-wing policies.
So inflation was caused by, you're saying...
supply shock and pumping trillions of dollars into the economy.
First of all, you understand...
Some left-wing policy goes into action, the whole world collapses.
And that the Federal Reserve is not... part of Biden didn't have control of the Federal Reserve.
Absolutely not, but the entire Federal Reserve System is left-wing in economic theory. That's the Keynesian economics. It's interventionist economics. So
you're saying that the
more you
quantitative
stimulate,
easing,
the more you stimulate. Yeah.
Why didn't we get it through QE?
We do.
I didn't say that was true. I said I was translating what he was saying, which I don't think that's true. But
you get it
why didn't we get inflation during the Obama years?
We did get inflation.
We didn't get
the wealth gap that you guys attribute.
Wait.
We absolutely did.
What numbers were inflation did we get during the Obama years that were outside?
From 2004 to 2014, the Federal Reserve did quantitative easing, buying up treasuries to increase the money supply.
Side of like the 2% sort of Fed target.
I don't think it was as high as COVID. COVID hit as high as 9%.
No, it wasn't even remotely close.
But when we look at the effects of compounding inflation.
QE 1, 2, and 3 all happened during the Obama years. If your theory was correct, we would have had rampant inflation. In fact,
we did.
Glenn Beck was talking about how we were going to turn into Weimar Germany, and none of that happened.
Here's the factors you're missing.
None of it.
Here's the factors you're missing.
So if you look at what's happening at Western Europe, we closed down the economy around the entire world.
The Biden administration closed down the economy.
I understand.
No, that was not the entire world.
Excuse me, the Biden administration?
Yes, they forced mask mandates. They supported Democrats.
Wait.
They supported Democrat states.
Do you not remember who was president in the first year of COVID?
What? Yeah, it was Trump. I'm not.
Right.
So I'm not saying Trump had a a role in this. But I'm saying.
Well, wait a second. By the time in 2021, the economy was opening back up.
Yes, the economy.
All of what you're talking about.
No thanks to the Democrats.
Well, okay,
the Democrats wanted to keep it closed.
Okay. Okay, you can talk about hypothetically what the Democrats want, but
it's not hypothetically. We can look at we can look at their mandates. We can look at them closing down.
The economy closed down. I choose Ben because he let me lecture him about Social Security.
My claim is that abortion is immoral and should not be legal.
Okay, cool. This is like some debate about worldviews and just your set of morals, and we see, so it's irrelevant. It's like saying, it's like, I believe this is that. I believe this is that. Okay, cool. Got it. Anything else?